Guys, what's going on? My name is Joe Butler, and as always, I am bringing you the most informative real estate content here in the heart of Dubai. Now, before I start this video, I want you to like and subscribe, and remember, if you have any property questions or you're thinking about making your first purchase, then I highly suggest you book in a call below because I'm going to give you the best advice possible before you make this big commitment. All right, let's get started. So what is buying and flipping a property? Well, it's a very simple term. It just means that you buy a property, needs renovating, and you flip it, meaning you resell it. All right, so it's a pretty simple concept, and if you are already a seasoned investor from anywhere in Europe or the UK, then you know how the renovation game works. You buy it at a low price or below market price, you renovate it and resell it and make a profit. Now, is this a market in Dubai that is worth venturing into? The answer is absolutely yes, but it's not just as simple as buying any villa in any location for any price. You need to do your research. You need to have someone who knows how the whole process works, where to buy the property, what type of property you need to buy, the location, the view, all of these things matter. So I'm going to explain them in a little bit more detail as we go on through this video. So we're going to start by talking about the most common question we get asked: what location should I buy a villa to renovate? Now, the first one we're going to talk about is probably the best. Now, the best one that we know, or you might have seen, because there's a lot of talk about it on the news, is the Palm Jumeirah. Now, what is the Palm Jumeirah? The Palm Jumeirah is the island located just off the marina. Now, the palm consists of different fronds, and on these fronds, you get all of the villas. Now, if you don't know what the fronds are, as you see on the map now on the screen, the fronds are right here, and as you can see, they're just little parts that come off. And now, this is where the villa communities are located. Now, the higher the number on the front, with the better views, are the ones to buy to resell. Now, I'm not going to go into detail exactly about which property and what type and which number to buy, because if you don't know Dubai, then there's no point going into too much depth. And if you do want to know more, then obviously just reach out. Now, on the Palm Jumeirah, it is probably one of the most sought after places in the whole of Dubai. And now, why is this? Well, if you look at it, it's just a piece of land that's been built outside of the city. But once they've finished completing this place, once they've built everything they possibly can, they can't just create more land, you know? So what do? They have to look at what's old and go in there and renovate. Now, listen, when I talk about this, as I have in my previous videos, some of the villas now, such as a garden home, can be bought between 25 and 30 million dirhams. Now, it's considerably higher than it was a year or 2 or 3 years ago, and that's just purely because the owners of these properties know their value. Now, once you get a contractor in, I'm not going to name that many names, but one of the biggest ones, BCI Fit Out, who we have dealt with before previously. If you use these guys, they're going to fit out your villa and they're going to make it incredible from start to finish. Now, once you've actually completed that European finishing, that amazing standard and high-class living of villa, then these are now reselling for upwards of 50 million. I'll break that down again for you. Around 25 to 30 million buy price, around 7.5 million dirhams to renovate the place, and then we're looking between 50 and 55, even up to 60 million dirhams in resale price. Now, what is the turnaround time on this usually? Well, usually we expect between sort of 6 to 8 months. Now, if anybody is actually doing this right now and is watching this video, then there might be things that I've missed, but I'm talking about this as a general whole for somebody who doesn't know. Now, let's move on. What other areas can we go to? Because, you know, the Palm, the minimum starting price to find something that's worth buying is not going to be lower now than 25 million unless you've got a real distressed deal, which you don't really find on the Palm anymore. Okay, so what other areas can we consider? So we've got Emirates Hills, again, another amazing community, not quite as luxurious, in my opinion, as the Palm, but it really depends what you want. I'm a big fan of having the ocean and the beach. Now, Emirates Hills is more of a green community. It's very, very exclusive. You also have views of the golf course and the lakes and also the marina skyline. So this is another big area to consider. Again, we also see this kind of area, you know, really flourish when it comes to buying, renovating and reselling. But then again, still quite a considerably large entry price to get into this area. So where can we look at next? Well, Jumeirah Islands. Again, this is another very green community, very lake focused, just outside of the marina. And again, this area, you'll see a lot of the old Arabic style villas, but they have huge plot sizes and also a lot of room to do a lot of renovation, because a lot of these old places, they have like closed off kitchens. They don't have like, you know, the modern design where they've got the open plan kitchen. They've not got large pools. So all of these things can be considered. Again, this is actually an even smaller barrier to entry to get in, but still considerably large investment, but again, still quite a lot of profit to be made. If you do want any more information, as I've said, you just need to reach out and we can go into this in more detail. And then another area that you need to consider is the Meadows. Now, the Meadows, once again, is that sort of green, vibrant community. And what I want to say to you now, all of these communities have something in common. Number one is their location is very, very good in terms of to the main parts of Dubai, such as Sheikh Zayed Road, the marina. Obviously, the Palm is located on the Palm, but all of the areas outside, like Jumeirah Islands, Emirates Hills, and the Meadows, they're all strategically located, that they're close to the city, they're easy accessible to get out of the places, but the one thing they also have in common is that they have very old style villas. Now, the problem is with old style villas is that they need a lot of work doing to it. But the good thing about these old villas is that they have usually large plot sizes. And now it's not that difficult to get planning permission. Now, as I've said, I'm not going to go into detail of each area too much unless you want any more information. But I'm just giving you a general overview that you can see massive, massive returns on investments if you have the cash and the capital to put into these things. Now, usually when it comes to investment, you can get property financing such as mortgages, but in terms of renovation and construction financing, it's usually a lot more difficult, and you'd probably have to go for sort of like a private loan, and in that case comes with a lot more risk. And then once you've obviously got the financing together, you need to look at who you're going to be contracting with, because each area usually has your sort of go-to contractor. And once you find that contractor and you've seen their previous work, then I would highly suggest setting up a meeting and talking about what you visualize in your head, and then sort of come up with an idea that you know you like and what they've seen work. And then once you can put those ideas together, they can really flourish. And then time frames, well, listen, as long as you can get the permits in place, and again, this is what it comes down to when you're using the right contractors, because they're the ones who are already experienced in that area and they know the process. So once you've got those permits, you can usually expect between sort of 4, 6, 8 months on the renovation. If you're just renovating, I'm not saying completely rip down and rebuild. I'm saying just to renovate, you can usually expect that kind of time frame. Now, depending on the area, such as the Palm, we have seen villas, once they've gone onto the market, sell between 6 and 8 weeks after they've been renovated and put on the market. And in some cases, they're resold before they're even finished. So the potential is there. Okay, to conclude, what I will say is that you cannot just go into these areas and look on Property Finder and just find the cheapest villa and expect it to make money, because each community has their own types, their own layouts, their own views, and their own plot sizes. Just because it's cheap on Property Finder, that might mean that that specific villa is not a resellable product. So you need an expert to obviously find the right types of villas, the right locations, the right views, in order for you to make the most profit, because otherwise you could potentially lose a lot of money if you buy the wrong product. I'll give you an example. If you buy a really low number on the fronds, on one of the fronds at the start of the Palm, then you're usually going to find it harder to resell, because it's not as a desirable location as it is when it's closer to the end of the front, where you get a better view, you get more open ocean and stuff like that. So just to give you an idea, if you are interested in this potential renovation game, then I suggest you reach out. We can have a discovery call and discuss how exactly we can help you out, find the right villa and take you through the process from start to finish, renovation and reselling. All right, so guys, I'll see you in the next video.